As I said earlier, I spent last week at Unity Village and amongst many other ministers from our region, and we had great speakers. Many of you might be familiar with Howard Martin, who was one of the leaders of the Heart Math Institute. He was our keynote speaker and shared a great deal of information about the heart and the power of the heart and where we are. And a lot of the conversation that was going on there, and many of the conversations I've had and many of the things that I've been drawn to read are talking about what's going on in the world. What in the heaven is going on out there? There's so many things happening in the last few months. You know, we've experienced major hurricanes and the flooding that resulted from those, and the fires that have recently been happening and happened in California that created such destruction, and the earthquakes and things that are going on in our society as well, in our political arena, the disruption, the conflict, the things that are showing up that are not something that is new, but something that is now seemed to be arising into more visibility, like discrimination and prejudice, and just recently the story about sexual harassment and the shooting that occurred in Las Vegas. Lots of stuff happening in the world around us. What's happening? What's going on? And in addition to that, how do we respond to that? What is our role in it? And how do we show up? How do we show up as spiritually awakened and mature human beings in all of what's going on out there in the world? And much of the conversation was around the idea that there is a great shift happening in the world. There is a great impulse or surge of energy happening in creation, the Creator, and that is moving through us, in us, as us, and it is a urge, a life force of evolution and transformation that is happening, occurring on a global level. You may have felt it within your own life, in your own situation. Things are being disrupted somewhat. Has anybody else experienced some disruption in your own life? Maybe your situations, maybe your work, your relationships, maybe just this internal kind of things going on, some discomfort or something happening. And even if you're not experiencing it just internally, I'm guessing that all of us experience it when we witness what's going on in the world. We can't help but experience it because we're all connected. We are all connected in this web of life, this web of energy. It's just connecting us, and we all feel it. But we have the choice every moment to buy into the fear and the worry and the concern that so many people seem to be promoting. We can buy into that, or we can choose to stand firm in faith, trusting and knowing that God is in the midst of all of it. And that even more than that, what is happening is a process of transformation and renewal, even though it may be painful in the process. It's like that process of the caterpillar becoming the butterfly. You know, the caterpillar has to completely dissolve. When it goes into the chrysalis, it dissolves completely and then begins to form what is the butterfly, what then eventually will be that beautiful, radiant being. And so how I am choosing to see it and how I'm inviting all of us to choose to see what's happening in the world today is that what is no longer serving the highest and best good for the globe, for humanity, has to fall away. It has to die away. We have to be willing to release that which is not in alignment with who we truly are and who that God within is calling us up to be. I believe it is that urge that is calling each of us to a greater recognition of our oneness. Not only our oneness and our unity in God, but our unity and oneness with each other, with all humanity, with the earth, with the environment, with all plants and animals and every part of creation. I think it's calling us up. But again, those things that are unlike that love and light have to sort of come up so that they can be healed and released. It's not always easy. It's not always pleasant. We feel the pain of it. We feel the grief of letting go. But it's important for us, I think, to know what our role is, and that I think our role really is threefold. I think we are the ones, those of us who are on a conscious spiritual journey, those of us who are conscious about our awakening to oneness, to the knowing of God in us, through us, as us, and that same God in and through and as all humanity, regardless of what they choose to call that God, that it is the same presence and the same power awakening within us. And those of us who are focused and intent on doing that are the ones who are here now to give birth to the new order, to the new world, to the new Jerusalem. As it says in Revelation, the former things have passed away. I saw a new heaven and a new earth. The former things had passed away. The former things have to pass away. And we have to be the ones, we get to be the ones who are birthing that into manifestation. But in addition to that, we also get to be the ones who are hospicing the death. We get to be the ones who are hospicing the death of what no longer works. The pain that other people experience, our own pain at experiencing the death of what has been. And you notice how we want to hang on for dear life to what we know, to what we think defines us, to how things have always been, and we see that happening all around us. There is fear about letting go. There is fear about what's on the other side. There's fear that rises up about, what is that going to mean for me? How am I going to be showing up? What's going to be expected of me? Am I going to lose my place in society? Am I going to lose my power in society? And we see people hanging on, but hanging on and resisting the death of what no longer serves only serves to increase the suffering. And it only serves to prolong the letting go of what no longer serves us. And so depending on where we are, our opportunity is to hospice that death, to be present with it, to give it love and attention and care, and to be with those who are around us who are experiencing the fear, who are not wanting to let go. That is really what happens, I know, when people show up with the fear that shows up as prejudice and discrimination. It is fear about losing something that they think is so precious to them. And they don't want to let go of that. They're afraid of letting go of that, and so it shows up in these hateful ways. But ours is to love, and I'm going to say this, to love even the ones who show up as prejudiced and discriminatory. We cannot buy into the fear. We cannot buy into the hatred. We cannot buy into the resistance, because as we do that, we only increase it. And so we have to show up, and we have to show up in love for those who are experiencing the discrimination and the prejudice, because they too experience the fear and the anguish and the grief of that. So ours is to hospice, to be present for what is dying away, and with those who are trying to hold on. But I think also one of our roles is to be the midwives for what is being birthed. Because we are here to help to bring into demonstration, into manifestation, the new world, the new heaven, the new Jerusalem that is coming down from heaven, so to speak. It says in Revelation, I will dwell with them. Coming down from heaven, I will dwell with them, and they will be my people. He's not just talking about white people, not just about Christian people, not just about men, not just about heterosexual people. The new Jerusalem, the new heaven, is about God, the essence of all creation, dwelling within the hearts of all people, all humankind. And you and I really get to be the midwives for that. To breathe into that, because birthing can be a painful process. Yeah? And it can be a messy process, right? But we get to encourage each other to breathe into it. To breathe into the contractions that we feel when we're giving birth to something new. To keep breathing deeply into it, because we know with every contraction there is also expansion. And resisting the contractions only adds to the discomfort, doesn't it? It only adds to the pain. And it only delays the process. So even if it's painful, and sometimes it will be, I think it is our opportunity to midwife that process, to encourage each other to keep breathing, to keep holding to the vision of that beautiful new life that is coming into the world. Many of you, the mothers who have given birth, isn't giving birth to a child probably one of the most blissful things that you have ever done? That this new life is born into the world, and it opens your heart to the greatest love you've probably ever experienced. And it is also ours to know that we are here to nurture that life, to feed it, to guide it, do what is ours to do. Because we really are in the throes of major shifting, major changing. There are no accidents. There is nothing that is separate from us. It's not just a surprise. It's not just a fluke of nature that the hurricanes are powerful, the earthquakes, the fires that destroyed so much in California. that there's so much upheaval in our country politically, so much dissension going on. There's no accident there. It's a representation of our energy, what's going on in us. And I'm going to say this, that God, Spirit, is doing, it sounds very traditional, doing a mighty work. A mighty work in us today. And when we are available for that work, for that energy, then we truly are the ones who are here to bring forth the world that we all want to live in, a world that works for everyone. There is no reason under heaven why anyone on this planet should be hungry. No reason. There is no reason why anyone should be without water, without a place to live. There is no reason. We can do this. We can create a world that works for all. But we have to show up for it. And we get to go through the process of allowing those. And the things that show up in the world are simply just reflections of our own ideas. So it begins with us. That even though it's painful sometimes, we get to let go of the way we have known ourselves, the way we have put ourselves in a box. The way we have been being in the world, we get to question that. I get to question that for myself. I get to question my beliefs, my thoughts, the things that limit me. So it begins with you and begins with me. What needs to die away? In my own thinking and my own beliefs? In my own way of being in the world? And how can I show up more fully and completely in service to the world that I truly want to see? Or am I just giving it lip service? I get to be honest with myself about that. And I invite us all to be honest with ourselves about that. Are we just saying what we think we need to be saying? Or are we truly committed to being the arms and the hands and the mouth and the ears and the eyes of Christ in the world? Because that's why we're here. That's why we're here. And I want to just say, it's not always easy. Nobody said it was going to be easy, right? But it takes our commitment, each and every one of us, moment by moment, choice by choice, thought by thought. And we begin, I think, with deep listening. Listening to ourselves, connecting with ourselves, but also connecting with each other. I was in a workshop this week that talked about inclusivity of all people. And what really spoke to me about that was that sometimes in our spirituality, and we want to say, well, I'm colorblind, or I don't see color, or I don't see differences. Well, that's not true. If we're honest, we do. But what was really powerful for me was the realization that everyone is different from me. Everyone is different from me, regardless of their gender, their religion, their beliefs, their sexuality. Everyone is different from me. And my opportunity is to stop and connect. Tell me about you. Your story matters to me. I don't know you, but I want to know you. And I believe that's where it has to begin. Really has to begin. With deep listening and connecting with each other, regardless of who that is. And that's sometimes going beyond our comfort zone. And so I encourage us to do that and to realize that we sometimes just live in our own little world, but to make and not take the opportunity to get to know your neighbors. I don't even know who lives next door to me. But to reach out and to connect. Because even though we are all different, at the very essence of us, we are all the same. We are all expressions of life, of God, of the divine. So I invite us into that, into breathing deeply, really focusing on our hearts and connecting with that spirit within. I know it gets scary sometimes watching the news or seeing what's going on in the world. But it's important for us to continue to breathe, to continue to go with the contractions, to breathe into the contractions, to notice when our neighbors, our friends, our family members are experiencing the pain of letting go. Reach out to them, help them. Be that one that is hospicing the letting go, the releasing, the death of what no longer serves, and being the ones who are there to midwife what is being born, to support each other in going with it, to feeling into it, and allowing what is new to be born into the world, wherever we are. And you'll find yourself in all of those places. I know that. I know that from experience. But as A Course in Miracles says, let the one who is the sanest in the moment lead the way.